The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, is a military alliance that was formed in 1949 with the goal of providing collective defense against potential aggression from the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Today, NATO remains one of the most prominent military alliances in the world, with 30 member countries spanning North America and Europe. One of the primary functions of NATO is to provide a collective defense against external threats. The organization is built on the principle of collective defense, which means that an attack on one member country is considered an attack on all member countries. This has been tested in practice, with NATO invoking Article 5 of its founding treaty for the first time after the September 11 attacks in the United States, which resulted in the deployment of NATO forces to Afghanistan. In addition to collective defense, NATO also serves as a platform for military cooperation and coordination between its member countries. This includes joint military exercises, training, and sharing of intelligence and resources. NATO also works to promote stability and security beyond its borders, with its members contributing to peacekeeping and security operations around the world. NATO is governed by a collective decision-making process, with all member countries having an equal say in the organization's policies and actions. This includes regular meetings and consultations between member countries to discuss issues such as defense spending, military strategy, and political developments. One of the main challenges facing NATO in recent years has been the changing geopolitical landscape and the emergence of new threats. This includes the rise of non-state actors such as terrorist organizations, the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and the increasing use of cyberattacks as a means of warfare. To address these challenges, NATO has adapted its strategy and capabilities. This includes the development of new technologies and capabilities, such as advanced cyber defense systems, and increased cooperation with partner countries and organizations. Another challenge facing NATO has been the issue of defense spending. While all member countries are required to contribute to the organization's budget, there has been significant variation in the level of defense spending among member countries. This has led to concerns about the ability of NATO to effectively respond to external threats, with some member countries not meeting their commitments to spend 2% of their gross domestic product, GDP, on defense. In response to these concerns, NATO has made efforts to encourage member countries to increase their defense spending. This includes regular monitoring and reporting on defense spending levels, as well as initiatives such as the NATO defense planning process, which aims to ensure that member countries have the necessary capabilities to meet the organization's collective defense commitments. NATO has also faced criticism from some quarters for its role in international affairs. Critics have argued that NATO's expansion and intervention in conflicts such as the 1999 Kosovo War and the 2011 Libyan Civil War have been motivated by geopolitical interests rather than a commitment to collective defense or humanitarian concerns. In addition to criticism from outside the organization, NATO has also faced internal challenges. One of the most significant of these has been the issue of tensions between member countries. This includes differences in military strategy and priorities, as well as political differences that can impact the organization's decision-making process. Despite these challenges, NATO remains one of the most important military alliances in the world, with a central role in promoting stability and security in Europe and beyond. Its commitment to collective defense and military cooperation between its member countries has helped to prevent conflicts and promote peace and stability, and its adaptability in the face of changing threats has ensured its continued relevance in the 21st century. In conclusion, NATO is a military alliance that has played a central role in promoting peace and stability in Europe and beyond for over 70 years. Its commitment to collective defense and military cooperation between its member countries has been instrumental in preventing conflicts and responding to external threats. However, NATO faces ongoing challenges, including the need NATO's involvement in international conflicts has expanded since the end of the Cold War, with the organization playing a significant role in several high-profile military interventions. One of the most notable examples is NATO's intervention in the Kosovo War, which began in 1999. NATO launched a bombing campaign against Serbia in response to ethnic cleansing against Kosovo Albanians, which had resulted in the displacement of hundreds of thousands of people. In the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks in the United States, NATO invoked Article 5 of its founding treaty for the first time, declaring that the attacks were an attack on all NATO member states. In response, NATO launched a military operation in Afghanistan to oust the Taliban government, which had harbored the al-Qaeda terrorist group responsible for the attacks. The NATO-led International Security Assistance Force, ISAF, remained in Afghanistan for over a decade, working to stabilize the country and train Afghan security forces. NATO has also been involved in other international conflicts, including the 2011 intervention in Libya. In that conflict, NATO launched a bombing campaign in support of rebels fighting against the regime of Muammar Gaddafi. The intervention was controversial, with some critics arguing that NATO exceeded its mandate by pursuing regime change instead of simply protecting civilians. NATO has continued to adapt to changing global security challenges, with a particular focus on countering terrorism and cyber threats. In 2016, NATO leaders declared cyber defense to be a core part of the alliance's collective defense, recognizing the increasing importance of cybersecurity in modern warfare. Despite its continued importance in international security, NATO has faced criticism and challenges in recent years. Some critics argue that NATO's expansion after the Cold War has led to increased tensions with Russia, while others question the alliance's relevance in a changing global security landscape. In addition, the election of Donald Trump as U.S. President in 2016 raised questions about the future of NATO. Trump had been critical of NATO during his campaign, suggesting that the U.S. might not come to the defense of NATO member states that failed to contribute enough to the alliance's defense spending. However, Trump ultimately reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to NATO, and his successor Joe Biden has emphasized the importance of NATO in the United States' foreign policy. In conclusion, NATO has been a key player in international security since its founding in 1949. While the organization's focus has shifted over time, its commitment to collective defense and cooperation among member states has remained constant. NATO's role in international conflicts has been significant, but the organization has also faced criticism and challenges. Despite these challenges, NATO remains a critical institution in maintaining global security and stability.